Hello everyone, my name's David Eddy. I'm the Flexible Learning Lead for Allied Health Professions within the Faculty of Health and Wellbeing at Sheffield Hallam University. I'm a therapeutic radiographer by trade, so in terms of my subject area I work within radiotherapy and oncology as well. What I'm hoping to do within the next few minutes is to give you a bit of an overview as to what it would feel like to be a distance learning student at Sheffield Hallam and give you a sense of the kind of information, resources and support that the learners would receive. Okay, so at the moment, what you're looking at now, the view you have is you're in what we call SHU space, which is the student portal. So when a student first logs on, this is the kind of environment that they would see. Now, I'm currently in the staff view. The student view is not quite as messy as this, but as we get into looking at module sites and so on, I'll switch to a student view so you'll get a sense of what the student will actually see. But whilst we're here within the portal itself, I wanted to point out a couple of features that the learners are going to be able to utilise and access. So there's lots of information and support available online, both in terms of IT help if learners are having access problems, difficulty logging on, that kind of thing. So there's lots of information, resources, opportunities for contacts, live chat, etc. that the learners can utilise. At any point in time, this is available 24/7. Similarly, in terms of the Learning Centre, if they're wanting to access information or contact the Learning Centre if they've got any issues around that, there are particular support and resources, for example, for distance learners, and again, lots of information they can access here to gain support, in addition to obviously being able to contact their module tutors. Also within the student portal, this is where learners can gain access to the library gateway. So in terms of trying to find resources that are on the reading list for a module, for example, all of the modules will have a resource list online, which equates to a reading list, if you like, for the particular module. So here, for example, I've typed in the Introduction to Healthcare Education module. So if I look for the iteration that's just recently run and I search for that, here what I've got is a list of the resources that are available that were on the reading list for the module. And as you can see, these are available online as ebooks or electronic resources as well. Some of those are available for people to actually walk in the Learning Centre and physically get hold of for those students who are studying this in blended mode. But obviously for distance learning modules, all of our resource lists are actually available for learners to access online remotely, etc., including journals. So back to SHU space. This is now where we're going to have a look at the Blackboard sites. So Blackboard, which is part of SHU space, you can think of as Sheffield Hallam's virtual learning environment, and this is where all of the learning is housed, the resources are managed, etc. Assessments can be submitted, that kind of thing. So you can think of it as a learning management system, if you like. Now within Blackboard there are two different types of sites. There are what are called course organisation sites, where the whole cohort of students who are actually on that course of study moving towards that particular award actually can utilise and share resources and discuss things and so on. And then there are the individual module sites for the individual modules of study, and we'll come on to those in a moment. But here, for example, this is the MSc Occupational Therapy course organisation site. So all students that are registered on that award have access to this, and you can see there's information here where they can create and develop networks. They can do things like meet the occupational therapy team, etc. So here we've got an introductory video, which I'll just let this play for a second. And you can see there's a nice little interactive resource here where you can meet the tutors, and if you want to find out a little bit more information, so for example Sue Walsh is the course leader, you can click on the tutor themselves and there's a bit of information there, and also she's recorded a video. Sadly, we have to cut Sue off in her prime there. We don't have time to really go through all of the resources and recordings that are available. But one of the things that's key to bear in mind in terms of all learners who come onto our distance learning modules and courses is they all undertake an online induction prior to starting the modules. And one of the key aspects of this is it's really important initially, before they actually start the modules and start the learning proper, is that they're able to test their laptop, computer, mobile, tablet, whatever device they're going to use to access this via this interactive resource called Access All Areas. Now this is preloaded with the types of files and so on and apps that learners would need to utilise and access as part of the course. So the learner can actually work through this. If they can click on the links and they open them and they're working, that's fine, but if not, then there's lots of help and guidance in terms of what they need to do to make sure that from a technical point of view they're good to go when the module starts. So that's a really important part of the online induction, and the online induction package itself, all learners that access our modules get access to that, and that resource is also available to them throughout the rest of the course as well. Obviously, tutor support and availability of tutors is crucial for distance learning students, particularly as most of our learners are working full-time, have families and trying to have a life, as well as studying part-time as well. So as far as possible, we make ourselves as available as we can through a range of different ways in order to ensure that we can respond to students in a timely fashion. So here, for example, on the MSc site, they've got this discussion forum that they call Open All Hours, so that people can post questions at any point in time, and obviously as soon as one of the tutors picks that up, there will be a response. So student support is absolutely crucial in this context, and we do take it very seriously, because of course our prime directive is to help to enable and facilitate the learners to achieve. Okay, so here I'm now actually in a module Blackboard site. So this is a paediatric cancer and its management module, for example, and I wanted to just use this to illustrate some key points here. Firstly, that we have an announcements page where tutors post announcements. You can think of it a little bit like a bulletin board, if you like, where announcements that are timely and necessary at various points in the module are posted, and learners also get an associated email related to this as well. So even if they're not on the Blackboard site, they'll get an email about the latest announcements as well. So any updates and important information are posted on there. But what I wanted to draw your attention to was on the left hand side here we have a series of tabs which correspond to different pages in the module sites, and across all of the courses we have a very consistent approach in terms of what these headings are, so that when learners go from module to module and even take modules from other distance learning courses, not necessarily just the awards that they're registered on, then they know that when they click on one of these tabs, they know what to expect, they know what they're going to find underneath them. So for example, when they go into module documents, they know they'll find a copy of the module descriptor as well as a copy of the module handbook, etc. Okay, so the consistency of approach is really important from that point of view. Similarly, obviously the learning materials, they know what they're going to get there, but within the assessment as well, they know they're going to get an assessment brief, information about the summative assessment for the module, but also about the activities, which are the online tasks that all of the students undertake prior to submitting the final assessment. And the online tasks are designed to actually build incrementally towards a successful submission, as I hope to show you later. Similarly, a range of discussion forums that they can access via this as well. So these can be asynchronous, where learners can participate in discussion forums as and when they can access that, or there are opportunities made available for synchronous activities through webinars, that kind of thing, where learners can get together in real time and talk about and discuss some of the issues, share practice, begin to think about collaboration, etc. So hopefully that just illustrates for you the difference between the student portal as such and Blackboard, which is our virtual learning environment. So within all the module Blackboard sites, the learners will get a sense of who the module teaching team is. So for example, Sue Willis is the course leader, the module leader on this particular one. And here there's a little bit of a biography about her, and also all her contact information and details. And we also encourage them to follow us on social media as well, and you'll see we use Skype in order to contact groups or individual students as well if we need to undertake tutorials. So lots of information and lots of contact details about the module teaching teams that are involved on the module Blackboard sites as well. Another example here, this is from the breast cancer radiotherapy module. Just wanted to use this one to illustrate the way in which we set out some information, for example, around the module assessment. So we mentioned before about the summative assessment and the activities and how important it was in terms of that. You can see that the students here are given a diagrammatic representation of the importance of undertaking the activities and the fact that these online tasks are designed to build incrementally towards their final summative submission. So the inducement, the carrot, if you like, from the student's point of view is to actively engage with the activities and receive feedback on those. Then as they're building these towards the summative submission, it does make the likelihood of a successful submission significantly enhanced. So you can see that the online tasks are very carefully designed and purposeful and associated with the summative assessment that's being utilised. The other thing that happens on modules is that we have the facility for live chat. Although we have a range of discussion forums that we use which are asynchronous and people can log on and access and utilise and participate at any point in time, here you'll see an example of a number of live chats that took place in this particular module. And the beauty of that is, although clearly not all the students can make all the live chats at any point in time, all the live chats are actually recorded. So even if you have accessed it live, you can play it back and look at it and review it later. So here, for example, we've got it on video for them. They just click on that and the video will play. For those learners that are not able to make the webinar, then they're able to look back at it via the recording as well. So it does mean that even if you can't participate live, you can actually review the recording subsequently and gain significantly from that. Okay, so that's just another example of ways in which we can hope to try and engage our learners within the modules. And this engagement of students and encouraging them to collaborate, share practice resources, that kind of thing, we can do through a range of different ways. So here, for example, we're using a learning space called Padlet. This is on a MOOC that we ran recently, and what you can see here is that the participants, what they've actually done is they've actually looked at resources, information relating to what was being studied, and they've actually posted them on this Padlet and actually shared them. So essentially we're crowdsourcing resources and information, and they're sharing practice, and obviously they can use this to evidence their participation in the course, that kind of thing. So a whole range of different learning spaces can be utilised, not necessarily just Blackboard and PebblePad as the conventional learning spaces that we use. We can also plug into other learning spaces and take advantages of those as well. So Padlet's a good example of. Another different type of learning space that we utilise within our distance learning at Sheffield Hallam is that all of our students have access to PebblePad. PebblePad you can think of as a personal learning space where learners are able to document, record and evidence their learning and development in a range of contexts, and they can also use this to evidence CPD, that kind of thing, but also for professional development planning. In some instances we also deliver modules and assess through PebblePad as well, where for example they're producing portfolio submissions. This lends itself to e-portfolio delivery as well. Okay, so this is an example of PebblePad. There's a massive range of functionality here. I don't propose to go through it at all, but there's a whole range of templates already built in for people to be able to upload, post reflections. There are built-in reflective templates, that kind of thing, action planning tools and so on. But I just wanted to quickly show you, for example, I run a module called PPP, which you'll see what we've done here is we've recreated the headings from the Blackboard site so that when a student goes from a Blackboard module to a PebblePad module, they know what's going to be coming. So for example, if they click on module information, they know they're going to get the module descriptor, they're going to get the module handbook and additional information associated with that. Similarly, the learning materials are divided up into sections, etc., and there's an assessment brief. So they're going to get an outline of what's going to happen within the module, what the formative tasks are, so the activities, but also the information about the summative task and the assessment criteria, etc. So this is set up in very much the same way, so that when a student transitions from a Blackboard module to a PebblePad module, they still can find the information and resources quite easily. What I did want to do through bringing you into PebblePad though quickly was just to illustrate what the learners can produce from this. And Sarah Jane is one of our MSc students who's given me permission to utilise her webfolio in this context. Now she's actually undertaken this module, and I wanted to just show you this because this module runs over 12 to 13 weeks. She works full time. She's doing this on afternoons and evenings, weekends, that kind of thing, whenever she's got some spare time. And she's actually produced this significant piece of work that really is very, very good in about 12 to 13 weeks and submitted this for assessment. So there's a little bit of information about herself there. For example, she does things like undertakes a self-appraisal where she looks at her strengths, her areas for development, and everywhere you see something highlighting, she's linking supporting information, resources, evidence, that kind of thing. And she's built this from scratch. She's not used PebblePad before. This is the first time she's come across it. So she's done a brilliant job in terms of that. Sarah Jane wouldn't mind me saying she's not one of our greatest students. She's probably around average in the cohort, but she did actually score quite heavily on this one because it seemed to suit her particular style of learning. So here she's done professional development planning where she's uploaded her action plans. She's related it to statutory body requirements for evidence in CPD. She's talked about the use of SMART objectives, etc. So an awful lot of really good information here. And here, for example, she's done a discursive piece, if you like, a brief literature review around the benefits and challenges of reflective practice, where again she's linking to evidence, supportive resources, and she's integrating the literature and interacting vigorously with it, so taking a very critical analytical approach, linking examples of where she's used reflective practice herself. So here, for example, was a pivotal incident that she used. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that our learners can produce in that context as well. An additional feature I wanted to draw your attention to as well was that increasingly our courses and modules are utilising and integrating social media, helping the learners to develop their digital skills, build their digital footprint and build their confidence in this arena. So here, for example, we've got a Twitter account from the healthcare education course again, and you can see the kind of activity that's going on in terms of the healthcare education course. Periodically they will schedule tweet chats, that kind of thing, to again get people discussing topical aspects in relation to the course, that kind of thing. So social media is increasingly playing a big part in terms of what we do, and not just at a course level but also at a module level as well. So I just wanted to utilise that to illustrate that particular. Okay, so here we are back in SHU space where we started in the student portal. There has been a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Hopefully it did give you a bit of a sense and a bit of a feel for what it might be like to be a distance learning student at SHU. It may well have generated more questions than provided answers for you, in which case I'm sure that colleagues that are with you at the moment will be able to answer your questions, and if not, I'm sure they'll put you in contact with me and I will hopefully be able to pick up those with you at a subsequent date. So I hope you found it useful, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.